It's the day after the Europa League final where, of course, Rangers were beaten on penalties in Seville against Frankfurt. So I'm going to break down the game and give my thoughts. But before that, I just have to talk about the emotion of it all, but especially from Rangers' point of view, because the Rangers fans will be absolutely heartbroken and gutted, and I'm sure none of them will be over the result. It might take months, even years. Maybe they might not ever get over this result because it's such a cruel and heartbreaking way to lose a major final. And I can actually understand where the Rangers fans are coming from to an extent, because as a Reading fan, I was there at 2017 where Reading played Huddersfield Town in the Championship playoff final. Reading were winning 3-2 on the penalty shootouts, but then Reading missed their last two penalty kicks, and Huddersfield Town won promotion via penalties. So I know the Europa League final is a far more important trophy and far more bigger, more significant game than the Championship playoff final. However, I can understand to an extent what it's like as a fan to watch your team lose on penalties in a major game, in a one-off game. However, for Rangers, it's still going to be completely heartbreaking to understand and even kind of process what's happened, because they've been on a phenomenal run this season in Europe. But actually, it's been a phenomenal rise in the last 10 years, where 10 years ago, they were in the third division in Scotland, and they had to climb all the way back up to the Scottish Premier League. Then they, of course, won the Scottish League last season, and stopping Celtic winning 10 in a row. But then at the beginning of this season, Steven Gerrard left for Aston Villa, so they've had to have a new manager. And then also, they've had really difficult games in Europe. They did extremely well to finish second in their group. Then in the Europa, last 32 playoff game, they played Borussia Dortmund. Away in Germany, they beat Dortmund 4-2, and it was very comfortable. Arguably, they could have scored 5 or 6 goals and kept a clean sheet, but they convincingly beat Dortmund away from home. Then they played Braga. Then they beat RB Leipzig as well, at home at Ibrox. So they've been on a phenomenal run of Rangers to get to the final. So their fans can be immensely proud of how far they've come. And I'm hoping from their point of view that they can bounce back next season and really compete with Celtic for the league, and also do well again next season in Europe, because we want to see the likes of Rangers and Celtic do well in Europe, because it's just more entertaining. And I'm sure the Rangers fans will want them to bounce back, the players to bounce back, but it's going to be really hard for them to, and understandably so, because they've put in so much effort and commitment in Europe. So to lose on penalties is so heartbreaking. But for Frankfurt, 10 years ago themselves, they were in the second division of the Bundesliga, but they got promoted, and actually they finished 11th in Germany this season, 9 points off the relegation playoff spot in Germany. So for them, they've been on a fantastic run, and they've had a really difficult run of games in Europe. They beat Real Betis in Spain, then they beat Barcelona at the Nou Camp, and then they beat West Ham at the London Stadium. So they've earned the right to play in the final just as much as Rangers have. So they deserve a lot of credit for how they've gone on in Europe this season. However, on the final, on the day, understandably, both teams were very cagey and very nervy, and it was an exciting game, because finals typically are, because there's so much at stake. However, both teams weren't at their best by any means. Although, as I say that, Frankfurt, for me, were the better team in the first half and created the better of the chances. I wouldn't say they deserved to be ahead, but that they definitely, for me, were the better team and created the more promising chances. So if that trend continued in the second half, maybe they'd won in normal time. But that wasn't the case. And in the second half, it was Joe Aribo taking the lead after a terrible mistake from the Frankfurt defender. Now, with Rangers in their lineup, Joe Aribo was playing as the centre forward, with Ryan Kent and Scott Wright on the wings, and then Kamara and Jack in midfield, with John Lundstrom in central midfield as well. But I think I was not so sure about Joe Aribo playing as a centre forward, but he proved me wrong. He was excellent on the night. And look, all the Rangers players put in so much effort, not just in this game, but in this run. But I thought, especially on the night, Joe Rebo and my personal man of the match, Calvin Bassey, were excellent. Brilliant, brilliant for Rangers. But yeah, Joe Rebo took the lead. It wasn't the greatest finishes in the sense that it was very close to the goalkeeper, but I guess because he was running through on goal and he had all that time, he could just get quite close to the goalkeeper and just slip it past him, and that's what he did. So Rangers fans, an absolute paradise in Spain, but then unfortunately for them, Frankfurt equalised. A really good finish from Borré, the Colombian striker, and then I think once it went to 1-1, it was always most likely going to go to full time and extra time. And then typically in finals, when the game does go to extra time, it goes straight to penalties. Typically not too much action happens in extra time, and we've seen that recently this season. The League Cup final went straight to penalties after not much happening. The FA Cup final went to penalties after not much happening. This game went to penalties. The only game that went to penalties where there was some sort of action was the Nottingham Forest-Sheffield United game. Although that game in the second leg went to penalties, Iliman Ndiaye had a massive chance in the 115th minute. But that aside, typically in football matches, when the game goes to extra time, not too much happens. And for me, that was the case in the Europa League right up until the 118th minute when Ryan Jack, you could say he missed a chance, but it was a phenomenal save from Kevin Trapp. Brilliant, brilliant save from him. I mean, people might say, oh, if Ryan Kent just, hit it to the keeper's right, but then he could have easily missed that chance because the ball fizzed right across him. So it was an amazing save from Trapp. And then the game went to penalties, and it went in Rangers' favour slightly in the sense that they won the toss to play in front of the Rangers fans, and they won the toss to take the first penalty. However, unfortunately, there's going to have to be someone that misses, and it was Aaron Ramsey in this case. I was worried and slightly concerned when Kemar Roofe and Aaron Ramsey came on so late in extra time. It gave me flashbacks of Bukayo Saka missing his penalty, but then Rashford and Sancho coming on late in the Euros final against Italy just to take the penalties, and subsequently both Rashford and Sancho missed their penalties. So I was thinking, Aaron Ramsey, he's not played that many games in Rangers, not been the best spell, he's on the bench, he's coming late on, is he going to miss? And that's what transcribed. Obviously, he wouldn't have wanted to miss, and I'm not laying all the blame on him. And look, Aaron Ramsey has had a phenomenal career, and fair play to him, he's done so well for Wales, he's been brilliant for Arsenal, to an extent Juventus as well. So Ramsey's had a brilliant, brilliant career. However, he missed the penalties in this case, and like I said, he's not fully to blame completely, and he definitely shouldn't get too much grief. Obviously, abuse goes without a question, but he shouldn't get too much grief because someone has to miss a penalty. Perhaps if he's going to go down the middle, it could have been a lighter touch, but I mean, who am I to say? I'm not a professional footballer. You're going to be so nervous taking a penalty like that because you cannot replicate that kind of scenario unless you've done it before. So I don't lay too much blame on Aaron Ramsey. It's so easy to just miss a penalty like that as a professional footballer. But like I said, there's got to be a losing team, and unfortunately it's Rangers. I mean, they won't take any comfort in people telling them that their team, that the players have done them proud, and they can be proud to be a Rangers fan given where they've been 10 years ago, because it was built up for them to win the final. It almost seemed like destiny, given that once they beat Dortmund, it was like, right, we can go win this. And then they go on to beat Braga, they go on to beat Leipzig, and then it's another German team they can beat. They got away with a penalty claim, arguably with Goldson. Then Lundstrom kind of grazed the head of one of the Frankfurt players. And Frankfurt also missed big chances, including Kamada's chip over McGregor. I believe that was the first half. But it wasn't meant to be for Rangers. So cruel. I'm gutted from their point of view, because you want the likes of Rangers and Celtic to be in the mix for Europe. But it's not meant to be for Rangers. Hopefully they can use the money that they've gained and the TV money they've gained to go and perhaps spend more in the summer and improve their squad for Europe next season. I'm not sure whether they can qualify the champion for the Champions League or not, but hey, they won't be thinking about too much about that right now, because obviously the manner of which they've lost the final is very, very cruel from them. But congratulations to Frankfurt. They'll be playing in the Champions League next season. And like I said, the fact that they finished 11th and 9 points away from the relegation playoff, and for them to beat the likes of Betis, Barcelona and West Ham is phenomenal from them. So credit to them. And then I'll just say heartbreak for Rangers. But anyway, that's my Europa League final review. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, Rangers fans wouldn't have enjoyed the fact they've lost, but maybe they can kind of think about the fact that they can be proud of their team once again after the shambles that they were in 10 years ago. But anyway, thank you for watching the review. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Thank you.